Today's question is how to buy a commercial property from your pension fund. Can you put a commercial property into your pension fund? Can I buy a commercial property through any pension scheme? Can you buy a residential property through your pension fund? So far in pension series, we have discussed pension basics, employee contribution, self-employed contribution, contribution through company, benefits of pension, and 6 critical pension mistakes. First of all, shout out to a couple of friends and colleagues who have asked me this question. And today's question is how to buy a commercial property from your pension fund. This is a really important question. A lot of people go through this process and then this question comes in their way because they want to buy a property and it costs a lot of money. And in fact, if you are looking at mortgage, it also costs you a lot of money. You are looking at roughly 50 to 70,000 initial deposit, and also if you're looking at the flats, it will cost you roughly 250,000 pound to 300,000 pound. And after this, people think next question, what about my pension fund? I have pretty decent amount of pension in my pension pot. What about it? Can I invest or buy a property through my pension fund or pension pot? Yes, you can buy a property, however only under certain conditions. Before we make a start for this video, please like and leave a comment below in the section. And if you think this video or any of my previous videos would benefit any of your friends or colleagues, please do share with them either privately or in a group chat. This would be a big thank you from me, and I would appreciate your interest and your support. And if you would like to answer any of your specific questions, please do let me know or leave it in below comment section. Now coming back to the original video, many business owners buy a commercial property as a direct investment through their limited company to protect their premises for their businesses, as interest on serving the loan is often less than rent paid, and obviously it is an allowable expense for corporation tax purposes. Now the question is, can you put a commercial property into your pension fund? Before moving forward, I would like to clear that you cannot buy a residential property through your pension fund. It's simply not allowed here in the UK. Let's say if you want to buy a property down the road because it closes to your home and rent it out to people to stay and live there and pay you rent each month. Unfortunately, you cannot do that through your pension fund. If you want to do it, you have to do it either under your own name or through your limited company, but you cannot buy a residential property through your pension fund. Buying a commercial property through your trading limited company is often not a most tax efficient way of holding an investment or the right structure for business owners' long-term financial goals. To buy a commercial property through your pension fund, there needs to be enough money into the pension fund either to buy property outright or enough pension value to qualify for pension scheme loan. Now the big question is, there are a lot of pension schemes out there. Can I buy a commercial property through any pension scheme? The answer to your question is no. You cannot buy a commercial property through any pension scheme. There is a specific pension fund that can buy a commercial property, which is SIPP, self-invested personal pension scheme. Now the question is, how does SIPP work? It's a separate legal entity to investors. The way it works is set up a new limited company by the owners or directors of the limited company, being a principal borrower and professional pensioner trustees for one of the big insurance companies. This scheme needs to be approved by HMRC to be eligible for tax benefits that SIPP enjoys. For example, if I decide to run a business and rent out a property, then that rent will be disappear to the third party and I have nothing benefit of it other than just occupational apprentices. However, on the other hand, if my SIPP buys it, ultimately that's both the property for my benefit. I am paying a rent into the SIPP, which obviously is a tax deductible expense for corporation tax purposes, and my SIPP gain a benefit from it. This is quite a significant factor in long-term investment. Here, a big question arises. What if my pension scheme does not have sufficient funds to buy a commercial property? Can my pension scheme borrow funds to buy a commercial property? Yes, your pension scheme or SIPP can borrow a fund. However, there is a limit on which SIPP can maximum borrow of funds. A SIPP can borrow only 50% of the value of the assets a day before a property is actually acquired. Let's just say a SIPP has 400,000 in its fund. It can only buy up to maximum of 50% of its available funds. So it borrows 200,000 pounds of funds, which in total becomes 600,000 pounds of funds, which it can use to buy a commercial property. At the same time, you must bear in mind SIPP can only invest in commercial properties. It cannot buy a residential property. Now, once we understand these, let's jump into tax implications, in which we will explore corporation tax relief and inheritance tax. Let's say SIPP bought a commercial property for your business. Your company will pay rent to the SIPP. This rent is tax deductible expense for your company, which attract 19% corporation tax savings. Let's just say you are paying 30,000 pounds per year rent. It will save corporation tax of 5,700 pounds. Now, this rent of 30,000 pounds will go into your SIPP, on which you don't have to pay any tax. Over the time, with compounding, your commercial property value will increase, as well as these rental payments will make your pension pot healthy at retirement age. And now let's say it's retirement age. So after all these 25 to 30 years, you are getting corporation tax relief and your commercial property value has grown, and your pension pot value in total reaches to 1.5 million. Here where the inheritance tax comes in. I will explain inheritance tax in my next video in more detail, but the golden rule is anything in your pension does not count towards your estate, which means you don't have to pay any inheritance tax on commercial property nor on your pension value. So overall, in this video we have covered: can you buy a residential property through your pension fund? Can you buy a commercial property through any pension scheme? Can pension scheme borrow of funds to buy a commercial property for you? And finally, tax implications, in which we have covered corporation tax relief and IST. Guys, I know this was a big video and obviously all of you were waiting for this. However, if you have any question, any feedback, anything you want to discuss, you want to ask, please do not shy to comment below in the section. I would appreciate your questions and I would love to answer all of your questions. As always, hand ahead, salute, until the next video.